Today we will see SQL AND operator. AND operator used to filter records from more than one condition. Where clause used with AND operator. When multiple conditions are joined with using AND operator, only those rows will be fetched from the database which meets all the conditions. Mean all the conditions before the AND operator or condition after the AND operator must be true. AND operator syntax: select column name 1, column name 2, and there may be another columns also. Then for from table name, where condition 1 and condition 2 or other conditions also, like this. There may be select star from table name. There may be all records, we can select all records at a time, where condition 1 and condition 2, and again there may be AND operator. Like this syntax is for AND operator. So we will see AND operator with examples. Now we will see AND operator with example. So for that we have created one table. So this is the table. Here table is patient. Then it contains patient ID, patient F name, first name, patient last name, patient disease, and disease ID. Then expenses, we have taken disease and disease ID also, expenses, then hospital ID. So for that we first create the table. So we create the table. So table is created. Then we insert. Then we insert. Then we insert. Then we insert record. Then we insert records. So here we have given IDs like 1 for COVID, then 2 for cancer, 3 for fever. So here one, then like this one, here's patient ID, then if first name, last name, then disease, then disease, then disease ID, then expense, then hospital ID. So like this we insert these records. So these records are inserted. So we can check these records. Select star from patient. So here all the records, 7 records, inserted into the table successfully. So we check the condition with AND operator. For that we create a query. Select star from patient, where patient disease is equal to cancer, and hospital ID is equal to 3. So here we can see patient disease is cancer for Sanjay Dutt and hospital ID is 3. So this must be the result. So we have used this AND operator here. So if we execute this query, we get the result. So here we can see that here we can see here Sanjay Dutt is having disease ID cancer. So this is the cancer and this is the hospital ID. We are considering hospital ID here. So cancer disease cancel and hospital ID is 3. So this is the only one record here. So we get this result. If we give hospital ID, if we want to check hospital ID 1 for Rishi Kapoor. So if we give here hospital ID 1, then we can get the result Rishi Kapoor cancer. This is cancer and hospital ID is 1. So both the condition that cancer is also matching the this is the condition, it is patient disease is cancer and hospital ID is 1. So both the conditions must be true. The condition before and operator and the condition before uh, after and operator, both the conditions must be true. If we give here, if we give here hospital ID, we can see here, we can see here there is no hospital ID 6 here. So if we give here 6, then we can't get any result. We can't get any result. We did not get any error here, but we also not get any result. So error is not there when the condition is false, but the result is empty. If we give here dengue, if we give, we have diseases, there is no disease, we have only cancer, fever and COVID, 3 diseases. So if we give here dengue, so sorry, if we go here the disease dengue and hospital ID is 1, hospital ID is there now 1, and disease, even though query executed successfully, but a result is not getting. So if we give here, here hospital ID is true, but this is not true. So if we give both the conditions false, if there is disease ID also not there and hospital ID is not there, in that case also. So if there is one condition, both conditions are false, then the result is not there. But even one condition, in one condition, if there is one condition false, then also there is no result. To be required true, both conditions to be required true or not get any error, but get empty result. So this happens when we use two conditions with AND operator. So there are two conditions and there is one AND operator. Now we will see result with fever having disease ID 3. So if we see select star from patient, here we can see fever is 3 and we will see AND operator for fever. So for fever or disease ID 3, we will see AND operator for we will see AND operator for fever or disease ID 3. Now here select star from patient, where disease ID is equal to, we have taken disease ID instead of disease name. So expenses, we are checking the expenses now. Here we are checking the expenses now. So expenses for fever, we are checking the expenses at below 5,000, sorry, 15,000, 50,000. Then this is ID. This is ID. So here we get this is ID fever or Ajay Devgan, and his hospital ID is 2, but this is ID is 3, and expenses is 10,000. So expense is 10,000. So below 50,000. Here Ajay Devgan having disease fever and below 10,000, and here Salman and Arbaz Khan having disease ID fever, but expenses are above. So expenses, so select star from patient where disease ID is equal to 3 and expenses greater than 50,000. We can see here Salman Khan fever 3, disease ID here, and hospital ID is equal to fever, and Arbaz Khan fever and in disease ID expenses 65,000. So here we can see two records. Now we can see order by, we can give order by expenses descending. We can give in descending order also. So like that we get the result. We will see now multiple AND operators. How multiple AND operators works. Select star from patient where disease ID is equal to 1 and expenses less than 50,000, and here also and hospital ID is equal to 5. We If we try to execute this query, well, disease ID and hospital ID, disease ID and hospital ID, hospital. So if here disease ID is equal to 1, expenses below 20,000, and hospital ID is equal to 5. Like this we get the result. If we, so here there is where disease ID is equal to 1, disease ID is equal to 1, COVID, then expenses less than 50,000. Here expenses less than 50,000 is only for Kanika Kapoor. So and hospital ID is 5. So this is the result. If we give hospital ID 6 here, it will not give any result. So if there are multiple and operators may be there, here we can see two multiple, here we can see two AND operators. There may be many AND operators, and If one condition is false, then there will empty result. Now we will see AND operator with another operator. For that we see the table. If we want disease COVID and 3, and if we want less here disease, fever and COVID 1 and 3. So if we want the less, if we want the disease ID 1 and disease ID 3, in these disease IDs we want the expenses less than 50,000. We write the query patient where disease ID where disease ID is equal to 1 or disease ID is equal to 3 and expenses is equal to less than 50,000. Now we have taken OR operator here with AND operator. So we want the record either from this or this. We are taking consideration the record from these two fever or diseases. So 1 or 3 disease ID may be 1 or disease ID may be 3 and the expense must be less than 50,000. So we have given this query. If we try to execute this query, we will get the result where disease ID is 3 and expenses is 10,000. It is okay, but here disease ID is equal to 1 and expenses is 90,000, which is not accurate. Disease ID is 1 and expenses, so the result is not proper in this case. So it is not a proper result. If we see here, disease ID is equal to 3 and expenses less than 50,000. So here consider, it is consider this condition here. So disease ID is 3 and expenses less than 50,000 here. This is consideration and so the result is proper, but disease ID is equal to 1 and here disease ID is first this condition executed and after that disease ID is equal to 1 or disease ID is 3. According to that disease ID is 1 or 3 and then 3 is like already executed, so 1 disease ID is 1 and then the result, all the results get like this. The query will execute not execute properly when we use our operator. So for that we give the condition like this here. Now it will consider disease ID is equal to 1, then expenses is less than 50,000, or disease ID is equal to 3, then less than 50,000. So this will execute now first, and it will check disease ID 1, then and our expenses less than 50,000, disease ID 3 and expenses less than 50,000. So if we execute this, we will get the result. Here disease fever, disease ID is equal to 3 and expenses less than 50,000, 10,000. So disease ID is equal to 1 and expenses less than 50,000 or 20,000. If we try to execute like this, now disease ID is equal to 3 and expenses larger than 50,000 fewer, and this is also like that. And we can give here also order by descending, also order by descending. We can order by disease or order by expenses descending. So here we can get the result like this. So this is id is equal to 1, expenses larger than 50,000, this is id 3, then expenses more than 50,000, 50,000, like that we will get result. Or simply we, this is the result according to expenses descending, or this will be the result. This is the simple result, but now we get the this kind of result in which is proper. So if we use or operator with and operator, and that in that condition, for executing the or operator, first we must give the, like this bracket like this, and because otherwise it will execute an and operator first, and it will be the uh, it will be problematic. So while while using and operator with another operator, we have to take care of certain things. It's all now, it's all about and operator. Thank you.